Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Moto, and BMW has given us a GS treatment of their R12 lineup for the 2026 model year. This is the R12 GS, and it features the 1170cc Boxer twin engine, air oil cooled right here, two cylinder heads sticking right out from the frame, and it's given us in this non-Enduro Pro model 17-inch rear, 21-inch front tires. If you opt for the Enduro Pro package, if you really do plan on taking this fancy bike off-road, then you're going to get 18-inch rear, 21 in the front, and a little bit more of an aggressive off-road oriented street-legal tire. We're getting 9.4 inches of ground clearance. That bumps up to 10 with the Enduro Pro package, and a good amount of shock travel as well. Adjustable shocks. It's theoretically a bike that can go do a good amount of rough and ready riding off-road, but still be cool and heritage inspired for on-road. And between you and me, I do suspect that most of these R12 GSs are going to be primarily used on-road because they look cool, and this thing also weighs 500 pounds. Not only that, but BMW makes better off-road motorcycles. They've got the new F900 GS, the F800 if you want one a little bit shorter. They've obviously got the R1300 GS. I don't blame them for giving the R12 the GS treatment. I think it looks cool. I think it's fun. I think I like the character of it. But just with the Boxer twin and the weight and the price, this one you're looking at about $20,000, and it's not fully kitted out, but it does have the premium package, which gives us heated grips and cruise control and a few other goodies. I just don't see a lot of people using this for their off-road sort of rider. But I do see people hopping on it, cruising around their city, appreciating the suspension travel, appreciating the styling, and appreciating the character of this Boxer twin. So let's hop on and go for a ride. We are actually going to go up, not that mountain with the snow, but a little bit to the right. We're going to go up the mountain a little bit, and even though this isn't the fully off-road featured version of this motorcycle, we're still going to see what it can handle, because after all, we've got an engine guard. Proxy key, like having that, so you press the power button, clutch in, and the bike rumbles itself to life. These Boxer twins, if you've never ridden one, they're very unique in the way that they shake the bike back and forth when you're at idle. Now, we have covered the more style-focused R12 9T earlier this year. Overall, I liked the bike. Didn't care for the digital dash on it. This one, we've got analog speedometer and no tachometer. Now, I don't mind not having a tachometer. You can technically bring up a digital tachometer, but that's not going to be super useful for just peeking down and looking at. I kind of think they should have done the tachometer in digital, and then rather analog, the gauge be a tach, and then the speedometer be digital. That would make more sense to me. But either way, I do appreciate having that over the full digital layout that we had in the more expensive version of the 9T. Beautiful morning out here. It's Friday. It's about 60 so degrees, and it's going to be warming up into the mid 70s, which is just remarkable for January. Fantastic day to be on two wheels. And if you are going to be primarily using the R12 GS for city grunty riding like this, you're going to appreciate the character of this Boxer twin. It's got a lot of low-end grunt. It doesn't mind being revved out. It really doesn't care which gear you're in, which I think contributed to BMW deciding not to put a tachometer as standard fare on this motorcycle, because I'm in 5th gear right now and I can easily accelerate, but I could also be down in 3rd. I've got plenty of overhead. It's not like you're slamming into the rev limiter on this. We've got quick shifter. It works well, but it never works as well on these Boxer twin motors as it does on more of the kind of the BMW inline 4s. It's just you got two bigger cylinders to interrupt. It's going to take a little bit more effort to kind of get a smooth quick shift there. So you'll find if you're trying to go between 1st and 2nd gear, skipping over neutral there, you get a little bit of buck and jerk. That's, some might argue contributes to the character of the bike, but if you're used to the butter smooth quick shifting experience that you might get on other BMW models, not getting that here. Despite being a little portly at 500 or so pounds, you can have quite a bit of fun on this bike. You're going to be using it for a little more of a urban runaround like this. Quick shift down in a second. You've got a lot of clearance from the foot pegs. They're very high up. So it does kind of encourage this just stand up and hop over speed bumps sort of riding. Probably one of the rowdier BMW models on the market from a hooligan standpoint, just because you do have kind of this higher up setup, this skinnier front tire, the gruntiness of this engine, and the suspension travel. Kind of makes you want to go do goofy things. Now, we did our DM commuter fuel economy and daily rider test with this bike, and it did fine. I didn't love it for kind of a city runaround sort of bike because everything about it is a bit cumbersome. The handlebars are far forward, they're wide. The way you straddle the seat is a bit wide and thick. It's more of a bike that I'd want to hop on for the weekend on a Saturday morning and just kind of have some fun with and then put away, more so than a bike that I'd want to ride daily. Which is fine. It's good that there's motorcycles out there that exist like that. But of course, up here on the highway, not really much wind protection. So if we settle in here at 70 miles per hour, it is clean air at least hitting me, and there is this tiny bit of a wind deflector, so wind's hitting me about upper chest below my helmet, which means that it's not dirty, turbulent air. So if you have a nicer helmet on like my Arai Contour X, it's really not too loud on here. It's just the wind's going to be hitting you more if it's cold, or if you're doing higher miles, you're going to have to be fighting it a little bit more. No sort of sport ride mode on here. We've got rain, road, and enduro. Now again, if you opt for that more off-road focused package, you get Enduro Pro. We're gonna have to see if we can disable rear wheel ABS without the Enduro Pro package. Cruise control, very easy to activate. Just flip it over here with my left finger and press set, and then here we are, cruising. Bike holding our speed nicely. I do appreciate the bike's got cruise control though, because realistically, you might be using this bike to either commute or go adventure, and it's nice to just be able to sit on 15 minutes of highway like that and have the cruise set for you. Despite having that 21-inch front wheel, the bike's happy to rotate. Again, you can really have fun with it on the corners, and having those high up foot pegs allows you to kind of throw it down and pick it back up. And again, a lot more rev range than you might expect when you kind of feel the punchiness of this motor. Frustratingly, BMW refuses to put a fuel gauge on the R12 lineup, so you're gonna get you got a 4-gallon tank, you're getting mid-40s fuel economy, so you're only looking at 160 or so miles of usable range, and you're not gonna know where you're at unless you either peak in the tank or you send it and get a fuel light. So I understand kind of the character behind it and everything, but my goodness, it's a $20,000 bike. Just give us a fuel gauge, BMW. All right, here we are, leaving the standard pavement, getting to more of the broken asphalt. I think it's high time to switch ride modes into Enduro. Now let's see, if I come to a stop here, I hold this button. There we go. Is that our traction control off? I don't think that's rear ABS off. I think that might just be traction control. Let's see. Man, it's not a super tall bike, but because of the width of this passenger or this comfort seat, it is a bit tough for me to get both my feet down at 5'10", 32-inch inseam. All right, so traction control's off, but it feels like, was that ABS? Maybe that was locked up. Maybe our rear was locked. Let's try it again up here in the sand. We're just running street tire pressures here, so we got 36 in the front, 42 in the rear. Last I checked the tire pressure monitoring. Tubeless tires, something to keep in mind for doing this sort of riding. Standing up, again, I'm 5'10", 32-inch inseam. So pretty average height, but very nice standing on these pegs. They're not the grippiest pegs. They kind of, again, like a lot of the bike, they have the general format of off-roading, but they're not real tight and grabby, sharp and grabby like a true off-road peg. But they're not rubber. So they are metal. I'm wearing full-on Alpine Stars Tech 5 boot so, and actually, now that they're a little wet, it's very slippery on the pegs. It's actually a bit concerning. So it's not biting into my boot at all. I don't like that. Huh. Almost feels like a rubber peg would be better. But other than that, standing, pretty easy to do. The bike doesn't work fantastically with off-road boots like this either, because of these air intakes that come off the cylinder heads. They're kind of pushing out on my boots, so it's a bit hard to get my toes into the brake and the shifter. But again, you're not riding this bike to go race around a track. You're just kind of taking it off-road and adventuring, exploring. Maybe you got some light camping gear strapped to the back and you're going on a little weekend ride or something. Dare I say I am having a little fun with it out here. I mean, again, aside from the slipperiness of my boots on the pegs, I'm enjoying sort of just leaning the bike around here on this trail. With that wider comfort seat that we have on here, it's going to provide you more of an all-day sort of comfort. So despite it, again, taking away a little bit from the ability to comfortably put my feet down, I do have that comfort aspect. And if I had a passenger on the back here, they would theoretically be more comfortable on it too. There we go. There's kind of an example of the motor being not too tractable down on the low end. This is one of the few bikes I've had that it's fairly easy to stall if you don't give it enough grunt right there at the beginning. Another thing to consider is the bike is shaft drive, so you're going to have pros and cons with that. But again, if you're putting on bigger miles, then no big deal. Again, I go back and forth on that. On one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, I just don't see people doing the big miles on this bike. But maybe they just want minimal maintenance. I don't know. It's a heritage thing. Okay, this is pretty chewed up. What are we gonna do? Let's go this way. Do have an adjustable clutch lever, and I think I'm gonna try to put it a little bit closer to me. Maybe it is all the way. One of the things with off-road and dirt riding is you can't ride scared. You can ride conservative, but you can't ride scared, and that's a little tougher to do when you just dropped $20,000 on a motorcycle. the last time I tipped one of these boxer motors over off-road, it pulled off one of the kind of the edge of the cylinder head. And I mean, it rode home fine, but I had to check engine light. So here we are, full dirt. Like I said, we are not running the off-road tires, so traction will be a little bit more limited than if you opted for that package. Front suspension is taking these bumps very nicely. Now I will say the rebound damping is a bit conservative. I would probably turn that up 1 or 2. It's really filtering out the bumps, which I think for most riders of this bike are going to appreciate. But I think if you were riding a little bit more hardcore, you'd want that front tire getting down just a little bit quicker. It's pretty muted up front, but that does kind of take away some of the fatigue factor if you were doing something like a longer section of this. If you're going to be kind of exploring, riding off-road for a significant portion of the day, you're going to appreciate some of that. Got a lot of rev range in first gear, so I don't think I've done any of this so far in second. That's not the case usually with bikes when I bring them up here. Usually I'm cruising in second gear. First gear giving me plenty of range, plenty of speed. When I'm doing 20 miles per hour, and it still kind of sounds low. Now I could see the gearing and the engine character being a little bit of an issue for really slow stuff. We'll see how far up the hill we get here. Maybe I'll crawl up some of the steeper section, but it definitely doesn't have that tractor ability that you're gonna need in some lower speed crawling sections. Yeah, it doesn't have the fun playfulness that I would want for going and doing this sort of riding regularly and seeking this type of ride out. But for adventuring and for going out and exploring trails that are near your home, especially if you live in an area that has a ton of them, and then for just riding around town and looking cool, this does a decent job at that. But it is for a very specific sort of clientele and kind of purchaser, just because there are so many other options out there, even from BMW. Like I said, BMW makes motorcycles that are better off-road. They make motorcycles that are better on-road. This one is going for a very specific style piece and a very specific sort of use case. So if that's you, it fits the bill. But for me, it's just not my sort of bike. I want boxer twin character from more of a street-oriented weekend cruiser bike, and I want scrambling and off-roading from a bike that's going to cost a little less if and when I tip it over. But thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the R12 GS, check the links below. We've got our DM commuter test, and I'll also have a no talking winding road ride that you can find on the Winding Road Magazine channel. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from DM Moto, and as always, ride on.